Just over 9 years ago, my daughter Amelia was born. A little short of her third birthday, at a doctor's appointment, we were informed that she was being diagnosed with autism. I had spent about a dozen years up till then working in education and special education around some really smart people who know probably as much as we know as a human race about autism at the time. So I felt pretty prepared to put in place the things that she was going to need to thrive. What I didn't know at the time was that it was going to be much more beneficial and much more useful for us to look at the things that she was trying to teach me. Amelia has taught me that she does some things very well. From the day that she, in our kitchen floor, stacked baby food jars higher than her head, we knew that the worst thing that we could do for this girl would be to underestimate her. Now, she does some things very well, but she does them a little differently than others. This is, by the way, the little girl that spent the first 2 weeks of her life taking every meal through her nose. So she does things a little different, but that's okay because we've learned to harness how she has to do things to make them make sense for her. Amelia has taught me that even when she's not looking at me, she's paying attention. Eye contact is a funny thing. If I want you to know I'm paying attention to you, I will probably try to look you in the eye. If I want to see if you're paying attention to me, I will check to see if you're looking me in the eye. But eye contact is really a separate skill from attention, and Amelia can pay attention completely to me even though she's not looking at me. And I've had to learn that when I want Amelia to pay attention to me, I must say, pay attention to me, not look at me. Because she will also sometimes check to make sure I'm paying attention to her. For instance, when there are two of her favorite things around nearby, a swing and a water puddle, and she can just dare Dad to wade in there and get her. Amelia has taught me that she is perfectly comfortable being raised right alongside her non-autistic brother. They use the same toys, the same books, the same everything at home. Why do we have to continually fight the battle that she belongs in the same classroom, in the same school building, in the same programs as her typical peers? She experiences life with typical people every day. She needs that for the way she lives. Amelia has taught me that she is not the same every day. See, at school, Amelia has an IEP, and in that IEP, there's a thing called a profile. And if you read that profile, it's supposed to tell you about Amelia. Well, some days you might read that profile and look at Amelia and think, yeah, that's the little girl that I just saw. Some days you might read that profile and think, who in the world was that? It's because she has the same complexities that we do. She is not the same every day. And sometimes her favorite place to be might be in that 5-gallon bucket that's half full of water. Amelia has taught me that if I don't wait for her to do it herself, she'll just let me do it for her. I kind of hate this picture. That's my finger on the iPad dragging the outfits onto the paper doll chicken. And she is perfectly content to let her hand just rest on mine while I do it. She's fine doing that, but she doesn't learn best that way. She doesn't learn best by having things done for her. She learns best by watching other people do it and then figuring out her way of doing it. She learns best by watching others and trying to copy what they've done. Amelia has taught me that she needs to move around. Now, some of you, most of you even here in this audience, may have an app or some sort of device that dings at you every now and then to let you know it's time to get up and move. Well, Amelia has one of those, but it's kind of built into her. She just knows when it's time for her to get up and move, but make no mistake, when she does that, she is not taking a break from learning. She gets up and moves around so that she can learn by interacting with her environment. And sometimes, that means taking her shoes off and going through the grass and picking up the leaves. But make no mistake, when she gets up and she's moving around like that, she's learning. Amelia has taught me that her preferences are just as complex as anyone's. It is very simplistic for me to tell you that Amelia likes music, and in general, that's true. It's also a great way that we have found to be able to get information into her, to expose her to new vocabulary through music. But it would be very wrong to assume then that she's going to like every song, or that the song that she liked last week, she is still going to like this week if she's heard it 100 times. And so music can really help her focus and learn, but just like so many other things, her preferences, her likes, her dislikes are just as complex as anyone's. Amelia has taught me that even though she doesn't speak to me very much, she still wants me to speak to her. And that has meant I've had to fight the urge several times over our lives for me to speak about her as if she were not in the room. It might be much quicker, it might be much more efficient for me to make a decision on her behalf, or me just to ask my wife, hey, what do you think Amelia would like to eat today, or where do you think she would like to go? It's much more efficient that way, but it is not at all respectful of her as a person. And so even though it takes a little more time, it's worth it to invest it in her, to ask her, Amelia, where would you like to go? Amelia has taught me that sometimes there are things she doesn't want to do, but she still must do them, and I can't let her get out of that. Like the time when our family was planning on a trip 1,000 miles away, and if you're going to make a trip 1,000 miles away, you naturally think airplane. Well, an airline flight is a little different situation for a person who really wants to clearly know what's going to happen next. And next, and next. I don't know if any of you have flown lately, but there are a lot of typical people who haven't figured that process out. And so with a lot of support and a lot of work beforehand from some people to help guide Amelia through it, getting ready, our family was able to board a plane and make a transfer of all things to make our family trip 1,000 miles away. Amelia still can do the things that others do, and we can't let her just get out of that using her identification as an excuse. Amelia has taught me to let her tell me she loves me in her own way. And whether that's by her handing me the bag of apples because she wants one out of it, or whether it's her slipping over the arm of the chair next to my wife so that she can sit next to her mom, or whether it's taking her brother's hand and walking down the driveway, every day in so many ways, she lets us know that she loves us. Amelia is one of the 1 in 59 children her age in the United States that have been identified with autism. And if you don't know one, you know someone who interacts with them every day. And so you may not know Amelia, you may never get to meet Amelia, but you can know for a certainty that they have lessons they are trying to teach us if we will listen. Amelia is an embodiment of that old axiom in education that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. May we never let go by an opportunity to listen to the lessons that those around us are trying to communicate to us. And may I never let an opportunity go by to let Amelia know I love you too.